Breaking news. As of 2 minutes ago, the New York City has received authorization for Columbia University to send the NYPD onto campus, a senior city official told ABC News. I hope all the students are safe. Okay, right after the news
Again, there is
broke,
no pedestrian traffic here. People were moving
police
through
are
freely.
now moving towards the campus. This is National SJP's own coverage directly outside of Hind Hall. If you're just now tuning in, the NYPD is storming Columbia campus at 6 p.m. Pacific time. The Columbia University, without authorization from the faculty, against the wishes of the faculty and against the wishes of the students, decided to allow the police to go back onto campus. Students, as of yesterday, that were a part of the pro-Palestinian encampment took over Hamilton Hall and renamed it Hind Hall, just like they had done in 1968 in the anti-Vietnam War protest, something that is a deep mark of shame on Columbia University's history and proud tradition of being on the right side of history, with the exception of 1968, of course. They did this in 1985 during the anti-apartheid protests against South Africa as well. They took over the Hamilton Plaza, and as of 6 p.m. Pacific time, the university has sicked the rabid dogs of the state, the jackbooted thugs. The SRG Strategic Response Group is there, and their goal is to arrest these students. I can't imagine watching this and saying that this is an appropriate response to the protest. Brother, for the past week, even before it got to this point, you understand that that is precisely what everyone has been demanding, right? Everyone on mainstream media, everyone over the age of like 40, 50, anyone in any kind of proximity to power has been demanding that the police come in and Kent State these students, and they couldn't get they could not develop enough propaganda to justify taking militant action such as this, and then they could not figure out how to justify doing this. They lied about it anyway. They said that these students were being anti-Semitic. They said that these students were terrifying the Zionist students, and there was no real evidence whatsoever, and they went ahead and did it anyway. Not only did they tell the police to go in and storm the campus, they also went ahead and arbitrarily suspended Columbia University students. There are reports from Columbia University students of having been suspended when they were in class. They weren't even at the encampment for pro-Palestinian sentiment that they've demonstrated.
Okay, I will just phrase what Ben said.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. We are now being escorted off premises, both press, spectators, anyone else. Frankly, no one here is left to document whatever might go down at Hamilton Hall, as we are now being told to leave the premises. No one is outside. Everyone is barricaded inside of their dorms here in the lawn outside of Hamilton Hall. We're now being escorted off the premises by NYPD. I'm not sure where they're going to put us, but I don't think we have any reporters anymore that are outside of Hamilton Hall.
I'm heading towards those gates. They're opening the gates now for us all to leave.
Why are they kicking out the press? Why are they kicking out the press, you think?
Okay. And as far as you can see, Julia, at Hamilton Hall, I don't know if you can still see Hamilton Hall. Is there any movement over there, or you can't see anymore?
I'll show you what's happening from Hamilton Hall now. You see those officers coming out on the left side of the screen. They're coming from the direction of Hamilton Hall.
Okay.
Right behind these bleachers here, that's where Hamilton Hall is. Right there, that building up there, that's Hamilton Hall. We can't see it anymore. And police is just pushing us out.
Okay. Shimon, let me ask you, we're looking at a shot from Spectrum News, New York 1, of officers, it looks like gaining entrance to a building on some sort of a crane or looking into a window.
They better not break that window, dude. You can't be doing more crimes to stop the crime to begin with, right? Remember, chat, these fascists are there because windows were broken. So why are they further breaking the windows? If property damage is what they are trying to avoid, why are they doing property damage? Oh, there it is. That's a window broken. Oh no, I guess it's time to send in the National Guard to arrest these cops too. Remember, that's what they tried to make this about. The reason for this level of fucking militant police presence is because, you know, they broke windows. Just so you understand, this is all fucking bullshit and has everything to do, nothing to do with the broken windows at Hamilton Hall and everything to do with beating the shit out of those who dare fucking criticize Israel's genocide. They pushed all of the journalists away from the main hall area, the entry point, the main entry point.
Just to confirm that police have entered the front doors of Hamilton Hall. Once again, they had sledgehammers, riot gear. So that is very important.
So the only thing we can hear is
and I'm going to hand it over to Teddy really quick.
Talking about what's going on.
I was able to receive video from someone who has a vantage point from Hartley looking onto Hamilton. SWAT has completely cleared out all protesters from the front of Hamilton. I want to repeat, all protesters have been cleared from the front by SWAT quite swiftly, and they are now breaking into the front as well as going in from the windows, as we reported before. They are completely flooding the building from all sides.
Look at these fascist thugs, dude. Imagine being this much of a fucking bootlicker. Oh no, they broke the windows. Look at what they're doing. Do you know how much property damage is going to happen as a consequence of this? Do you understand? Do you know how much money they're using? Think about that. How much overtime is being paid right now? The only reason why you see these piggies be so goddamn brave is because they know without a shred of doubt that none of those students are actually a real threat. That's why they're so militant. That's why they're so organized.
So I'm getting reports from Teddy now that there may be an unconscious student in front of Hamilton. Do you have any further confirmation of that, Teddy?
Yeah, I have a video from someone in Hartley looking down onto 90%. Hamilton, and yes, there's an unconscious student on the ground.
They have Barnard student body voted for divestment from Israel.
And there's an unconscious student
over
on
half
this side
of the
on the
student
ground
body participated in the election.
Thank you, Teddy, for that. So once again, we don't know what caused that necessarily. Could have been the police, but we can't confirm it right now.
They're arresting
I'm unsure why
students.
they've just brought them to the end of the barricade here at the street. I'm a little bit confused, but they might be being invited to exit. I'm unsure, but I'll update you.
For the record, this is why they made sure to pack up the media and move them around, just so you know. They moved the media away from the courtyard specifically so they could start packing up the students and violently brutalizing them without actual footage coming out of it. Except the difference is, in this day and age in 2024, even if you turn off your fucking body camera and you brutalize a student in the middle of a college campus, there's going to be 7,000 different cameras directly on you. Everybody has phones, dumb. The problem, however, is that the media is also complicit in the suppression of this kind of footage coming out. The media voluntarily will suppress this information, just like many in the media, mainstream media, for the past week or so, has been demanding that this kind of action be taken instantly. This is exactly what the CNN, MSNBC, Morning Joe, liberals, reactionary fascists alike have been fucking demanding. They're getting exactly what they wanted. Adam Schiff asked for this. 26 Democrats asked for this. 26 Democrats personally asked for this to happen. Liberals will turn around and offer some sympathy. Fox News will go and say they get what they deserved. Bill Maher will say that they're narcissistic. Make no mistake, all of this could have easily been avoided with the university doing what doing what Brown did, which is meet the demands of the student protesters. But of course, they did not want to do that. They were far too invested in maintaining their big donors. And in an effort to do so, in an effort to ensure that Robert Kraft isn't upset with the university, they listened to the demands of Robert Kraft in between his rub and tug sessions and sick the rabid dogs of the state on the students. So tell me, who fucking terrorized this college campus tonight? Was it the actual pro-Palestinian students themselves, many of which are Jewish too? Or was it the motherfucking NYPD? The answer is simple. Who do you think is a bigger threat to the student population here? Incredible sights, dude. And then liberals talk about Tiananmen Square.
This is a very important piece of information to know. From our estimates, there were anywhere between 20 and 50 protesters that were inside Hamilton Hall.
Bro,
we still don't have a confirmation number on that, but just to scale for our listeners, the difference between the amount of protesters in Hamilton Hall and the police response we are seeing tonight. This is the most police response we have ever seen on campus. It is nowhere near what we saw during the first arrests, and it appears that people are being caught up in this that are not necessarily protesters. So once again, we'll keep our eyes on that. We have reporters still in the field, but I'll keep you all posted. It just was important to know again that there were between 20 and 50 protesters inside Hamilton.
Eric Adams said they were awaiting requests from Columbia admin to intervene,
which is completely disproportionate
as
to the
far
police
as I know, they
response
were not
we are
requested.
seeing
You're
tonight.
wrong.
Does anyone
They
on
were.
the field have an update?
Columbia University gave them the go-ahead at 6 p.m. Pacific time, according to ABC News. We broke it here as well. They piled up around Columbia. They blockaded all the fucking streets surrounding Columbia University. And then at 6 p.m. Pacific time, the university administration, without getting any kind of confirmation from anyone else, no faculty, turned around and sent the police. I'm getting videos from students on campus, from students affiliated with CUAD. They're compiling as much video footage as they possibly can and sending it over so we can take a look at it on stream.
But when they open the door,
Be careful. You look like you're gonna fall over the edge.
all right, they're all going in. Cops are going in. Oh my goodness, that's like 50 cops going in. Okay, maybe 20 so far.
Apparently, there are reports that a medic was being denied. Medic is being denied seeing an unconscious student barricaded in John Jay Hall.
That? Why are you looking at me like that? Do you understand? You were probably sitting in that bus just chewing on your baton, right? Just waiting. Fucking swear to God, these assholes.
There's a student, there's an unconscious student barricaded in John Jay Hall.
This is actually literally fucking disgusting.
Here's more video footage from a dorm room outside of Hamilton of the cops storming. Wait, did you say precedent call for the police to remain on campus until May 14th? No fucking way. After locking medics into John Jay, NYPD at Columbia pushed 3 students down the stairs and dragged out one passed out student. They threw all items down the stairs, endangering students, and pushed a group of 5 that were walking without resisting arrest.
May 17th, which is well past the current graduation date, that after tonight, NYPD will be allowed to have permanent presence on Columbia's campus for the rest of the year.
NYPD permanent presence on campus. Oh my God.
Our news team back in the room here, and everyone is safe as far as we know. Does anyone on the field have any updates?
Where's the ACLU and all this? They're nowhere. There's nothing. There's no the National Guild of Lawyers is supposed to be there on scene as legal observers. You know what happened to them? The NYPD packed them into to John Jay Hall. They kicked them out.
We were saying
at
that was
044, it appears police
dragged
someone down the stairs.
Very restricted. But I'm reading an article from the Washington Post right now that says, quote, news footage showed police officers with body armor and riot shields entering the building through a window, which they accessed using a specialized police van with a ramp mounted on its roof. Some officers entered with their guns drawn. So, I just wanted to mention that because obviously we did not have reporters that were able to see that, but it has been reported by the Washington Post. And I think that's important to note, especially considering how the university has characterized the events of Hamilton Hall. One thing that I just want to mention, as Ale said,
that's insane.
In her discussion earlier, despite
that's insane, bro.
That they believe some of the protesters in Hamilton Hall may not be affiliates, the Columbia campus has been restricted to Columbia University ID holders for 2 weeks now. So anyone that did not have a Columbia ID that was in Hamilton Hall, if that was the case, would have gotten in while that policy was in place. So I know Ale kind of mentioned that that reflects on the security of the university here, but if you want to restate.
Yes, I think, you know, this claim that it was not students in there reflects really poorly on the state of lockdown that the university enforced. You know, and this is, of course, personal opinion right now, I should say. But as Teddy said, this is a moment that is as
this is literally Israel
important for us.
It's just Israel. That's all this is.
And so I think.
Hey guys, there's bad actors. There's Hamas. There's literally Hamas amongst the students. That's what they said for a week. They have, guys, we had nothing else we could do. They had Hamas. Hamas was in the buildings. We are one step removed from fucking hitting the Pallywood angle and being like, these students actually, now that we are doing the students brought it upon themselves, these students actually brought the NYPD presence upon themselves. Now that we got the fucking tunnels as well, now that they're flooding the tunnels as well, using guns on fucking students, the one last remaining part of this chapter is to have some dumb on Fox News, possibly Jesse Waters, turn around and be like, did you notice that these students are totally lying about the police brutality that they withstood? I mean, obviously, these cops are basically doing a tickle party. Never let an opportunity go to waste. Benjamin Netanyahu is potentially gearing up for the Rafah operation. An Israeli clearing operation in the Rafah could begin within the next few days. The IDF indicated on April 30th that 2 divisions are ready for on-the-ground operation into Rafah. As I covered earlier today, Benjamin Netanyahu also said that the Rafah invasion is happening with or without the truce and the hostage negotiations, basically rendering those talks useless, despite the international pressure coming from every Western leader at this point, saying that you cannot invade Rafah. Hamas is considering an Egyptian proposal that offers a year-long ceasefire if Hamas releases at least 20 hostages alive. April 30th, 1968, NYPD bust of Hamilton Hall protesters of Columbia University. April 30th, 2024, NYPD bust of Hamilton Hall at Columbia University.
I did at that time.
Look at that.
We were with a number of specifically press, our student press, and we were forced to leave, and this seemed to be outside.
Here's a video of a cop turning off his body camera.
I don't want to speculate on exactly why that was. They perhaps were just in a different area, but just want to make note of that.
There you go.
Thank you so much for that, Georgia. Leon, go ahead.
Right now. So we saw the
This is important stuff.
Guys, red light means that their body cam is on, right?
Flags. And to see us sort of being escorted out. They're not being arrested.
That photo said May 22nd on the caption, though. No, this is on Tuesday, April 30th, 1968. Look at these photos.
Police being here doesn't mean we lost. I'll tell you what it means. It means we won in the most glorious way possible. This university offered us an empty deal. We did not concede. We didn't fall for their bribes. We are much more principled than they can ever hope to be. Today, they call you a safety risk. Tomorrow,
What are they gonna do when the movement grows? When like other students join, are they gonna suspend every single student until it's just like a handful of students who love Israel? Is that what it is? What are they gonna do when other students from other campuses also take notice? What are they gonna do when faculty joins?
you are the people they will be proud of. I need you to be loud. I need you to be mobilized. Disclose, divest. We will not stop. We will not rest. Disclose, divest. We will not stop. We will not rest. Disclose, divest. We will not stop. We will not rest. Disclose, divest. We will not stop.
Do you think they can make an example out of these students? It won't work. Yeah.
$20 north of Columbia right now. Miguel, thank you. Stand by for a moment, if you will. Joey Jackson, our legal analyst, is here. Joey, we talk about dozens and dozens of arrests. What happens to these people on the buses? What does it mean to be put under arrest for tonight and for the next several days?
Yeah, I think, John, the prosecutor here, Alvin Bragg, has a decision to make. And what that decision is what he's going to do. Is there going to be a distinction between students? And if so, do you criminalize this, or do you offer them some resolution to the case which respects their right to protest, but again, you know, has some semblance of law that has to be mixed into it? And do you distinguish the students from the non-students, right? How they got onto the campus, what specifically did they do? Were they peaceful? And so,
bro, this is literally all the your children will learn in history books in the future, if there is a future to begin with. If we haven't completely perished by that point, this is the type of that you already learn about in your history books as moments of shame from the past. It is insane to me that, I mean, the irony is ridiculous. The irony is ridiculous, especially when you consider that Hamilton Hall is the exact same building that the students occupied in 1968, and the police brutalized them on April 30th, 1968.
You have a lot of paid agitators, professional agitators in here too, and I see it all over. And You know, when you see signs and they're all identical, that means they're being paid by us.
My favorite dumb guy, dude.
You know, these aren't hand-painted signs where people would go to their basement and paint something because they really believed it. These are all signs that are identical. They're made by the same printer. And, you know, when you see that, that means there's somebody at top that's paying or a group that's paying.
Meanwhile, let's take a look at what the brilliant, bold, brave liberals, who are definitely very progressive and always on the right side of history, have to say on MSNBC while all this is happening.
What we have seen on the videos so far is actually the most organized and calmest and most professional police intervention we've ever seen on a college campus. And what we have seen on the videos...
Yeah, they beat the out of those students, but so professionally. God damn, son. When they were brutalizing those disgusting little anti-genocide students, I hate that. I hate those guys. But the cops, they were so beautiful. They were hot. The most humane violent apprehensions that have ever happened. Yeah, this is the video that humane. Guys, look at that. Look at how humane the NYPD is.
Property has now been cleared. Hundreds of officers on Columbia's campus tonight after the university asked them to clear out pro-Palestinian protesters who had set up an encampment and taken over a building, tied and loaded onto buses. Columbia University putting out a statement reading in part, quote, "We believe the group that broke into and occupied the building is led by individuals who are not affiliated with the university." The decision to reach out to the NYPD was in response to the actions of the protesters, not the cause they are championing. Early Tuesday, protesters...
How much you want to bet they're going to say all the suspended students are technically unaffiliated with campus, even though some of them literally were being suspended as they were inside of Hamilton Hall? As the student journalists reported on, for the past 2 weeks, the campus has been completely shut off. Access from anyone and everyone that does not have a Columbia student ID, an active Columbia student ID.
And the presence was just so enormous. And just a short time ago, it all just came to an end. Many of those officers who went in.
It didn't come to an end. Columbia University demanded or said to the NYPD that they need to stick around until May 17th. So no, it actually didn't come to an end at all. As a matter of fact, it came to the opposite situation, where now they are going to have permanent police presence on campus. I just can't understand how all of this is happening when the police have been so egregiously defunded. As the NYPD Strategic Response Group leads the crackdown in Columbia, I'm reminded how the SRG was originally pitched as an elite counterterror unit that would stop ICE attacks. 9 years on, and they're primarily used to spy and arrest protesters and clear out homeless camps. For those of you who are wondering why the media is so pro-cop, this is their job. The media's job and the cops' job is to protect the interests of capital. Okay, that's it. The media's job is to normalize the violence that you experience and make you feel like it's actually totally permissible that a bunch of 48-year-olds with weapons just storm through a private Ivy League institution to beat the shit out of fucking 18-year-old protesters for saying, hey, I don't think my tuition dollars should go to fucking Israel doing a genocide. That's the whole job of the media, is to basically tell your dumb parents and your dumbass grandparents that, like, that's totally valid actually, and they usually do a pretty good job. The difference now, however, is that with the invention of the phone camera and social media, it becomes much harder to just kind of keep a good grasp on that. You know, it becomes much harder to manufacture consent when we can just see what you're doing, and you have motherfuckers who are like, excuse me, that's ridiculous. That's actually kind of ridiculous that you did that. That's why there's a massive difference in opinion with people who watch people like myself, people who watch TikToks, versus people who get all of their information from Anderson Cooper. I've shown you time and time again that since October 7, every violent action that was documented on camera that Israel was committing, every atrocity, was immediately in real time contextualized by CNN. They would have an IDF guy show up with his big fat fucking head like Jonathan Concuncrius or whatever, that fucking Frankenstein's monster looking piece He'd be like, yes, these are terror babies. You are seeing Anderson Cooper. You are seeing the babies of terror. We are fighting against darkness. Why do you think that was the case? Well, there was a deliberate media effort to try to manufacture consent, to try to massage the narrative, to try to contextualize all matter of violence that Israel was doing to the Palestinian civilian population. But of course, with social media, this has become basically impossible. The dam is broken. Terror babies.
In the dorms here at the university, and they're able to sort of just stand out on the windowsills themselves and watch everything going on. But while it is done on the inside, it's certainly not done on the outside. Just a short time ago here at 113th, protesters are gathering. They're yelling at police, and police are still trying to control the situation outside of campus. You can see all the people across Amsterdam Avenue. They have set up an enormous cordon around the university here. Broadway is shut down both directions from 113 to 120th. Amsterdam is also shut down. So both sides, both avenues.
Remember, we aren't very smart as a population. We like to think that we are, but we're not. And those who are seemingly the most educated still obviously heavily rely on mainstream media. Now, I rely on mainstream media as well. I think it's very important for it to exist. I will never knock journalism in general, but I also have at least a little bit of media literacy. To the best of my ability, this is what I try to teach others as well on this broadcast. I look at the same exact things that they're looking at, but of course I try to parse through that propaganda as best as I can. Many people don't do that. Many people are like, yeah, this is exactly what the I trust. This is what they're telling me. I have no reason to think that CNN is going to lie to me or massage the narrative. And it's basically little by little every single day. If you rely on CNN unconditionally without ever questioning what you're seeing with your own two fucking eyes, you're inevitably going to start believing in the narrative that they're portraying, that these students for the past week were actually really violently and virulently anti-Semitic. Jewish counter-protesters, Zionist counter-protesters were Jewish, and they were all scared because of the virulent anti-Semitism that they'd fucking heard. Jewish students kept hearing about how scary and how violent and how virulently anti-Semitic these student protesters were. And if you don't actually see the student protests, and the media rarely ever shows them, and when they do, they're certainly not showing them in a fucking good light, ultimately you're gonna agree with what they're saying. Your parents are gonna be watching this and developing that framework. That's why I think it's good that we do this kind of real-time coverage and try to show you a different perspective, oftentimes directly from the students themselves. Like this entire time I've been relying on the CUAD students, the campus organizers to offer me insight into what's going on inside of Hamilton Hall, you know, and I'm doing that specifically to reframe the conversation. I'm doing that specifically to show you what is actually going on that is unvarnished and unfiltered. And then people engage in the cycle of debate because everyone wants to remain like, everyone wants to behave like they are the smartest guy in the room. So then they'll start debating you. They'll start saying stuff like, well, why did they break property if they didn't want police to come through? To which your question should be, how much property did the police destroy in an effort to apprehend these student protesters? What do you think is worse, one window being broken or 1,000 windows being broken and hundreds of student protesters getting violently and brutally arrested for the crime of doing what exactly? That's right, the crime of wanting to divest from Israel's apartheid mechanisms. And all of that was done with taxpayer dimes too. Your parents paid for that. My biggest difference between most members of like most white Western supposedly social democratic and self-avowed liberals and leftists alike, my biggest deviation from them oftentimes is on American foreign policy. And this is, unsurprisingly to many, the one issue where liberals and Republicans, conservatives alike, are completely aligned. It's not an accident that what you hear from CNN is not all that different from what you hear from Fox News. Sure, Fox News is a little bit more racist, but ultimately CNN, MSNBC, they all were championing, brutalizing these protesters, brutalizing these pro-Palestinian protesters. Regardless, history will vindicate me.
Weapons,
and all of you,
they knew they
you
were
have been on the right
kids.
side of history.
They knew they were